back. It's Wednesday. It's a time. It's a place. Welcome to the show where we interrupt each other. What'd you say? I didn't say anything. What did we say? Welcome to Fantasy Shot Callers Live. I'm Chef Dunna, along with my partner in crime, Mr. JT, the Dynasty Don. How we doing today?
Outside of the technical difficulties, I'm doing great. The only person doing better than me right now is Victor Wembanyama.
He's eating healthy in New York City.
Hey, and he can't throw a baseball though.
No, he cannot. But he will definitely be at the draft.
Are you did 7 o'clock have a did he have a race change? Did he change bodies?
No.
Your thing says 7 o'clock.
Oh, it does? Oh, look at that. Look at us.
You guys
that really shows you how tired I am. I'm artist formerly known as 7.
I mean, I didn't know you guys shared skin like that.
I mean, we got skin in the game, so you know what I'm saying?
Yo! Got Ewok in the house. Got AJ. What's up, fellas? Got the whole crew.
Pick me ass. Love. All right, where are we jumping off today? Tomorrow is tomorrow. Oh, yo, how'd you like the Spider-Verse?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I don't want to give any spoilers because that's just not my style, but I enjoyed it. I didn't have any issues with it. The only well, it's too much of a spoiler. I can't say. I'll tell you off air what my issue was. It's small, but it did kind of bother. It did kind of bother me.
That's so funny. When you said it's small, your voice got real loud.
Well, I have to announce my presence somehow.
I'm here. Here he comes to wreck the day.
Little liar.
I'm kicking my own ass. Do you mind? That's how I feel when I'm making dynasty trades.
Well, at least when you send them. I mean, I'm sure Jared's going to pipe in here with one of your doozies that you sent him.
Yeah, no, I just stopped trying to trade in that league because it's almost impossible. So,
well, you haven't hit me up.
No, I know. We're the only ones who've successfully traded where it's been like kind of even.
Yeah, I know. I know what hallways you like to piss in.
Just taking my socks off, man. And speaking of pissing in hallways, Tyreek Hill will not be charged in his altercation at the marina in Miami this past week. What do we take from like that altercation in itself?
I think, look, sometimes people don't know how to act when they see celebrities. Something, we don't have any of the facts. We don't there's no video, there's no anything. But I think it's pretty telling when the person that was allegedly assaulted isn't pressing charges. AKA either they were wrong or Tyreek just paid them off before. Yeah. I mean, either way, they didn't have a broken arm like his kid.
In other news, yeah, I mean, it's like, you're right. We don't know the exact facts. I feel like something would have happened if something happened. Speculation coming off the top is that, sometimes celebrities like to do celebrity things and think they own the place no matter what.
Yeah.
Granted, Tyreek Hill is, he hasn't been too much of a nuisance in the NFL, except if you're playing against him. Aha.
Well, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, man. I mean, he's had issues at going back to OK State. He got kicked off the team. That's why he fell in the draft. It's always somewhat of a concern, but it doesn't look like anything's going to come of this for this season.
Yeah. I mean any I lost my train of thought. Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara. Like, I mean, are we ever going to see if they're ever going to get suspended?
I don't look. The Kamara thing is kind of like he's kind of reached the point where it's like I'm not sure he's gonna get suspended. It's tough because you see the photos from it. Like that's circulated around, and when you look at it, it's pretty tough. It's tough. It's tough to watch. It's tough to look at, and I mean, as you know, I'm the guy that likes to send like fail videos to everyone. And when it's tough for me to look at, I'm kind of like, whoa, we've reached a certain level here. I think Mixon's as well. Like, you would think that if there was something more substantial there, the Bengals would have already cut him. Hard to tell, man. It's hard to tell. Kamara's we've been expecting for a while, so it's hard to see him not getting at least a 4-game suspension.
I think AJ's saying Tyreek has little man syndrome.
Yeah. Got a little Antonio Brown in him a little bit, maybe.
But Tyreek hasn't gotten hit like Antonio Brown did.
No, not that I can remember.
So maybe it is just they're born with this little man syndrome.
Maybe.
Fast little man.
I don't think we can put Tyreek.
Don't play with my toys. I want my toys. Don't play. Give me my toys.
I think AB's he's in a whole class by himself now, man. That's good.
He's
Lord.
in a league of their own where he's the coach, the pitcher, the catcher, the left field, outfield.
Well, literally, he is. The Arena Football League threw his team out, so he really is in a league of his own right now.
So, I mean, it like as we were kind of talking about, the Tyreek altercation, the news just came out probably half an hour ago that they weren't pressing charges. So there's not much to speculate there. There's not much to really talk about. So, I mean, I guess we can keep going and diving into the two biggest free agents that are still on the market, Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins. Sources say that Dalvin Cook wants to play with DeAndre Hopkins. Do we have some teams that could fit on? Like, that could actually make that happen?
Well, much to probably every fantasy owner's chagrin. And, it's probably our team, the Jets. They seem like the easiest fit in terms of both guys want double-digit millions. Mm-hmm. And, I would probably venture to say Hopkins has more of a leg to stand on than Cook when it comes to that, especially when we see Odell got a $15 million deal. Cook getting 10 mil. I don't know, man. That seems a little rough around the edges for me.
Well,
I wonder if
he's going for 10 mil or more.
I think 10 is the. I mean, look, this is all posturing right now. Like he can say, "I want 20 mil right now." Doesn't mean a team's going to give it to him, but we just watched Odell successfully do this. Literally last off in the middle of the season, where we all thought he was going to Dallas, and he said he felt. I forgot what team offered him something. I think it might have been the Rams, where the Rams were trying to get him back. And he was like, I felt disrespected by their offer. Like, I'm not a, $4 million player or something. And he really stuck to his guns here. And eventually a team gave him what he wanted. They gave him the 1 year, 15 mil, mostly
he guaranteed. His cards right. I mean, he went to a team that was struggling to get their quarterback back. And they were like, hey, could you help us try to get Lamar Jackson back in the stadium?
Sure. I mean, look, the players' perception and our perception of players is certainly different. They are not one and of the same. And players love Odell. I mean, you look at what he did with the Rams. That guy was a difference maker as soon as he got out of Cleveland with Baker's broken shoulder. So, it serves them to hold out here. If they're going to be a package deal, I mean, that seems very hard. Just where we are in the offseason, that's really difficult. And also just from a locker room standpoint, man, those are two very strong personalities. I'm not saying either is like, a clubhouse cancer by any means, but adding Dalvin Cook and adding DeAndre Hopkins, that's going to be felt in the locker room. So
yeah, unless he goes to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers just hands both of them some ayahuasca and says, "Do me a favor and just calm the fuck down."
Yeah, let's go see T Swift.
Yeah,
I'll go to a Drake concert.
Come on, we'll do one-offs. I'm doing a lot of things. We can all fit it in. We have a couple weeks off.
I think the Jets would actually be awesome. I mean, I know from a fantasy standpoint, if you drafted Garrett Wilson this offseason or if you drafted Breece Hall, that would feel like a doomsday scenario. But I honestly don't. It wouldn't really affect my viewpoint of Garrett Wilson, Breece, a little bit, but like I keep trying to preach to everybody, the league is a committee league now, and it's not going away. You just have to accept that if your guy gets 250 carries, that's basically a workhorse now. Yeah. It's probably how it should be for their longevity's sake.
Yeah, because if they get any more than that and they're not Derrick Henry, they're just gonna be injured for the rest of their career.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of mass chaos if Nuke and Dalvin both went to Miami.
Come on, man.
That'd be kind of wild. I mean, he brings something that they don't have. I mean, Waddle and Hill, they are specific sets of receivers, but I think Nuke is completely different in that gives them a different red zone look. They don't really predicate the tight end there.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins gives a 100% a bigger red zone presence, and he's able to really Tyreek makes these crazy acrobatic catches, but DeAndre Hopkins has mastered the jump ball. I mean, sure. We saw the Hail Mary that Kyler threw to him a couple years ago. It's just it's masterful, and that's what I think he would bring to the table.
Yeah, I think Dalvin would be, he would bring something to that backfield. It's, again, super committee there. I don't know if the Patriots have enough room, but that would absolutely tank Ramondre. That would just tank them. I don't think so. Everyone wanted to do the Buffalo thing, but I just don't think Buffalo has the cap. I feel like they would have to do something very compromising, which kind of goes against what Brandon Beane has built there.
Well, they have to trade away Tre'Davious White.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so either, even though he's on decline. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, that ACL isn't looking too strong for him. It's tough. It's tough to come back from.
First or second?
I think it's his first. I don't remember him being hurt ever before. I just remember him being an absolute monster. But I mean, he had absolutely nothing for Jamar Chase and company. I mean, look, not a lot of corners do, to be fair.
Yeah.
But just in the way that he was repeatedly targeted, we've never seen that before in Buffalo. Most of the time teams go away from Whiteside, and that ain't the case no more. It's the hardest position in football, cornerback.
Cornerback, hell yeah, man. I mean,
it's the hardest position in the game.
It's just like keeping your eyes on their waist instead of the ball in basketball. It's like you don't know where they're gonna go, and I don't.
Well, I mean, you just don't
going with that.
I mean, Richard Sherman kind of articulated it very well, where it's like you can't take any plays off because on one play I can get Marquise Goodwin running a streak down the sideline. And while he's not a number 1, 2, or 3 receiver, he is an Olympic level sprinter. So I got to run 80 yards down the field, come back, and then I got to guard a DeAndre Hopkins type, or I got to guard a Michael Thomas type. I mean, it's tough. It's to me, I think it's the hardest position in the game. Hence why you don't see any white cornerbacks.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Let's see. So we are talking. I mean, so one of the most pivotal players in redraft for every year is second-year wide receivers, right? Second-year wide receivers are when they tend to break out and come into their own, or at least start their ascension of power. And so, I mean, what are your takes? Obviously, I have Garrett Wilson at 1. Other than that, where are we looking for ranking like the other top 5?
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of chatter going on in New York that they're going to add someone else. So I do think that there's a realm of possibility that Olave kind of tops that chart. We've seen Derek Carr kind of lock in on one guy and he's willing to feed them repeatedly. Look, I don't think Olave is just going to come out here and get a Devontae Adams type, target share. And he's had a little bit of hammy issues, plays in the dome, artificial turf, all of that kind of comes into play. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Olave finished ahead of Garrett Wilson for this year.
So speaking of ADP and redraft, right? Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, and Chris Olave are within the realm of like the 2nd to 4th round, right?
Right.
So which one would you like to pick out of the 3? Let's say at the 8th spot out of 12.
At the 108?
Yeah.
Those are my only choice. I can't go anywhere else. Those are my picks.
No, yeah, we're talking like, would you go 2nd round Garrett Wilson? Would you go 3rd round Jalen Waddle, or 4th round Chris Olave?
I feel like I'm taking whoever falls, whoever I think is going to fall. I'll take whoever comes last. And I think the other guy that is kind of forgotten there is, I was going to say Devontae Smith, but that's who I'd rather have. I'd rather take him on the back end there. They're all fun problems to have. Like, I think all of those guys, the first 3 stand out to me, and I really think that they're kind of interchangeable in a lot of ways. When you get to Watson and Burks, that's kind of where you lose me. I'm not too big of a fan of either of those guys outside of a best ball setting. If it's best ball, I can deal with the Watson and Burks spike weeks. It's mostly just a function of those offenses that kind of concern me more than anything else.
Yeah. And so like, what do you think about Drake London this year?
I mean, I think it's going to be, look, do I think that how he ended the season where it was like 25% target share, he's crushing it. Do I think that that's going to be the entire season? I mean, that's kind of hard to project, but I do think it's going to be closer to that versus the dead weeks with Mariota. I think the guy was picked as the first wide receiver for a reason. They got to throw to somebody, and I'm not, Pitts is still hurt. I don't know who, I literally don't know who Atlanta's other receivers are, if I'm being completely honest. Is it Justin Hardy? Is Cordero Patterson just going back to wide receiver? I don't even know who their guys are. I know Olamide Zacchaeus went to Philly. He went to Philly. Yeah, he went to Philly. He's a Philly guy. Oh, Mac Hollins. Thanks, AJ. AJ hit us with Mac. So yeah, exactly. Mac Hollins is the wide receiver too there. I'm not look, they got to throw to somebody. He's really someone who I think is just going to have unlimited targets. I do think he'll get 8 to 9. I'm not a big Ritter guy, but I mean, people want to just be like, oh, Arthur Smith, all he wants to do is run the ball. But, AJ Brown did command, I think, like a 25 to 30% target share there. If London can stay on the field, he is in a relatively weaker division. His championship weeks are in, they have a chance to be indoors. I like him. I like him a lot. I like him higher than consensus.
It's funny that you brought up AJ Brown in Tennessee, because there were weeks when him and Corey Davis were on that team when Corey Davis wasn't injured. They both had like top 15 finishes, like in multiple weeks during those times. And so it's like, it's funny you bring that up, because everyone's like Derrick Henry. But they didn't just win with Derrick Henry. There's a reason why AJ Brown had the capital to be able to be traded to the Eagles.
Look, what a product of running the ball, as much as Arthur Smith is going to want to run the ball, is that those play action deep balls are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to put 8 in the box to stop Bijan, good luck guarding London 1-on-1 on the outside.
And speaking of which, we are introducing a whole new segment today called
What's in the Box?
Put the gun down.
I saw you with the box. What was in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, David.
It seems that envy is my sin.
Oh, what's in the box?
Not till you give me the
What's in
gun.
the fucking box?
what's in the box there, JT?
Oh, what's in the box? I love it, man.
So explain the segment. Explain the segment to the people.
So I just want to we're in June right now, and we're starting to see just kind of like if you play Dynasty, we're starting to be at that point right now where you're kind of in that dead zone. And one thing to exploit here is sometimes you kind of you trade players, not because they're bad, not because, they can be great players. It's just when their perception reaches a certain point here that it's really hard to see the set of outcomes where they're going to outperform where their value is right now. And those are the trades in Dynasty that you have to take. They're good process trades. And it's not even, you don't have to dislike a player to trade them. It's just once they reach a certain value, you have to take that. And I'm starting to see a trend here where we're starting to see a lot of guys kind of reach that point where it's like, okay, you have to sell this guy if you're getting, we could start with the first one if you want. It's probably going to ruffle a little feathers. Yeah. I think the first guy for me is Amon-Ra, which is probably a shocker for some people. But I literally just watched Amon-Ra St. Brown go for 3 firsts and a second. And that's
in the box. What the
it's just
box.
It's just I don't care if you're contending or whatever you are, but seeing that trade kind of blew my mind where that's a Justin Jefferson level package. And when you start to get that for granted, I think Amon-Ra is a wide receiver 1. I think he's an awesome player. I think he's set to have a big year. I think he could crack 300 fantasy points in PPR, which you're the elite of the elite there. That being said, a lot of things have to break right for that to happen. If he pulls a hamstring, then we're all in deep shit. Then you're going to look back at that offer and be like, damn, I wish I could do that. Or you get 3 1s and a second. What if I take one of those 1s and I go buy a Cooper Kupp? I go buy a Devontae Adams. I go buy, or hell, you might even be able to flip the second into DeAndre Hopkins. Then you got Hopkins or whoever to replace his points for that year and 3 1s. It's just reaching.
So what you're saying for my dumbass brain over here is that when the player gets too big for his britches and has a value that is calling in or expecting all of this coming in, right? You're trading him away for these packages that can't get any bigger, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I mean, it's also the time of the year. It's June. Okay, so I'm not. Well, I mean, it's just the other guy right now is Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall has reached a point right now where, look, no one loves Breece Hall more than me, probably. But for what you can get for him right now versus what can come in through the Jets' front door, I mean, it's bananas. I've tried to buy him in a few leagues, and guys are asking for 3 1s. They're asking for 2 1s and a high second. I love Breece Hall. I think he's going to be awesome. But when you see him go really high in dynasty drafts, it's June. Don't buy a running back. Don't buy a running back or tight end in June for astronomical first round startup prices. It's bananas.
Does that mean that players like Patrick Mahomes and Bijan and Justin Jefferson are in that same tier? or is
Well,
there
it's
different levels of
Mahomes.
this?
Mahomes is kind.
Are you more talking about like the more unproven talent? Like, Amon-Ra has had a good year and a half, right? Brees had
Sure.
4 or 5 games and then got injured, right? There's a little uncertainty still there, even for Amon-Ra, but Justin Jefferson has had 2 consecutive wide receiver 1 top 10 years. And then Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
So like where does the cutoff start, if there's a cutoff at all, or are they?
Well, I think that there's a massive difference between Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra had a good wide receiver 1 year, but he's not outscoring quarterbacks. Justin Jefferson is out here outscoring quarterbacks. I think he was number 4 overall in full PPR. That's how you have someone that you're not going to take that for. Amon-Ra put up, I think, conversely in full PPR around 250, 257 points, and Justin Jefferson went over 350. So obviously there's some settings that might skew that a little bit, whether you're playing with bonuses, first downs, what have you. But I mean, Justin Jefferson is kind of close to that. You're not, it's very hard to move off of him because he's just such a positional advantage, much like Mahomes right now. It's very hard to get Mahomes. Like, I think someone traded 7 1s for Mahomes. I forgot what it was, but that's obviously crazy. I mean, I would take that for any player. But Mahomes in Dynasty, it's really hard to move off of him unless you're getting something back in return. Also, roster construction comes into play because if I'm a contender and someone comes along and is like, I'll give you Trevor Lawrence and 2 1s for Mahomes, I'm probably going to think about it. I probably take that. There's
yeah.
So it's
smash.
hard. It's hard. It's league settings come into play there. Quarterbacks are a little easier to project versus running backs and tight ends. That's the easiest way I could put it. We're in June. Like, if I told you right now Mahomes is going to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdown passes, you'll be like, yeah, okay. But how about I try to sell you that Brees Hall is going to run for 1,600 yards and 15 rushing touchdowns?
Oh, he'll do it for sure.
Yeah, it's a little tougher to believe. So, the other guy for me is T. Higgins. T. Higgins is just,
I don't know. I really don't understand. I truly don't understand.
If I could get a wide receiver 1 package for T. Higgins, I'm taking it every time. The only route that he has to being a wide receiver 1 is essentially just Jamar Chase has to get hurt. And I'm not going to sit around waiting for Jamar Chase to get hurt. He got hurt this year, and T. Higgins still was wide receiver 18. I just saw T. Higgins traded for Devontae Smith and a first-round pick, and I absolutely wanted to break my phone. Like, I can't believe that trade happened. Granted, it was in a startup, and T. Higgins went at the 302, and Devontae fell to the 410.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy traded T. Higgins for the 410 and a rookie first. Don't know where the rookie first is going to be, but he traded T. Higgins for Devontae Smith and a rookie first, and I wanted to break my phone. I don't get it. I think Devontae Smith is better than T. Higgins straight up, and I don't understand why that's a hot take.
I don't really think it is. I think everyone's just living in 2020.
He has Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. Also, Jamar Chase exists.
And they like to throw to the running back. And Tyler Boyd's still there, and he still has some attention on him. It's just a very crowded wide receiver room. And if Irv Smith ever can stay healthy for more than 2 games, that's just another mouth to feed there as well.
I'm not big on Irv Smith. I think that's dumb, but
I mean, I'm just saying there's a lot of people on that team that can catch the ball. And
sell Irv Smith wherever you can.
Huh?
Sell Irv Smith wherever wasn't he a first round pick?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he was a first round pick. That guy had Yeah, with the Vikings. That guy had hella height.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. That's what I wanted to talk about. We'll talk about it next. You got anyone left in the box that needs to come out of the box?
I just if we're at the point right now, like, look, I'm just targeting Devontae Smith everywhere. If I can sell one of like the desirable young wide receiver ones into the guy that won a Heisman Trophy plus a rookie first round pick, that's what I'm doing every single time. Like this probably sounds crazy and someone will roast me for it, but Garrett Wilson, I would send him for Devontae and a 1. Olave would send him for Devontae and a 1. All of those. And people are just undervaluing him everywhere. Guy finished wide receiver 9 and didn't score until week 3.
You think Jahmyr Gibbs is someone that can be in the box?
Yeah, but
I've been
I feel
seeing
like there's
posts about like analyzing him that he could be the next CMC.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's the next CMC. Those projections scare me when I hear them. It's like saying someone's the next Derrick Henry. There's only going to be one of those guys. But what I will say about Gibbs is, so I did some rookie drafts in like February and March, and he was pretty consistently the 106. He has slowly crept up, even with just kind of like, he's sometimes in Superflex, he's the 102, which blows my mind. There's no conceivable. Yeah, he's gone at the 102 in Superflex, and he's definitely seen a spike. And I'm here to tell you, Detroit running backs rarely pan out. I don't know if it's the turf. I don't know what's going. I don't know if there's a curse. I don't know if it's the turf. If you could sell Gibbs, I'm sure you could get multiple ones for him at this point. I mean, I think on Keep Trade Cut, he's RB5. And there's no...
Don't say those words here.
There's no way that... I mean, I could name 5 running backs I would take over Gibbs right now. So, yeah, I would agree with that. I would take the package over Gibbs right now.
And what about Alexander Madison?
Blooms. Shout out my boy Blooms for coming through. He's a Roll Tide guy. I won't hold that against him. I don't know if The Rock will take him though.
I mean, he could.
He'll be out there with Ben DiNucci, the Seattle Dragons. Ben DiNucci.
So what about Alexander Madison?
There's still some drafts where he falls. I think people aren't up to date with it. I think people sleep on it a little bit. I mean, even in our draft, he kind of fell. Didn't he fall to double digits?
No.
In the mock that we did
on Sunday?
Yeah.
Maybe because it was super flex, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, look, Madison is someone that I would probably take the box. It's just process, man. If you're going to give me a good package for running backs or tight ends in June, I'm going to happily make that bet because the odds are they're not going to produce.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Akers is a running back that stands out to me. He was a big winner post-draft, but I still don't think he's out of the woods there.
I think...
who is going to block for the Rams? Everybody's like, oh, yeah, Cam Akers, he's going to be the RB1. Great. Name one guy blocking on that line.
Ezekiel Elliott is going to be...
wow. He's going to be the new center. We saw how that worked out.
Yeah.
There's no one on that line that you could name. And I don't think people really understand that. Maybe we'll go through trade review to see what I got for Akers.
So speaking of not producing, it just occurred to me, and you'll be seeing a post about this probably in the next few days when I get done with the video. But historically, ever since the 60s, what I learned this player played in last week.
You're talking about Mike Ditka?
Yes. Come on.
Sorry, my brain took over that. My bad.
Fade
I'll put
all
myself on
rookie
mute.
tight ends every single season. Every single season in redraft, fade rookie tight ends. There has only been 5 rookie tight ends to eclipse over 60 receptions on their first year, and technically it was Travis Kelce's second year. And then also with touchdowns too. I mean, in the past 10 years, there's no I think there's 4 tight ends that have surpassed 5 touchdowns. And like, so I mean, the usage isn't there. Like, even like, so Kyle Pitts over 1,000 yards receiving. He had 68 receptions. The usage isn't there. He had 1 touchdown, right? And then all the rest of the tight ends, they're all super what's it called? Touchdown. Man. They're all super touchdown dependent, right? And so going forward, I mean, it just like history will repeat itself in the fact, like, yeah, you may find a Pat Freiermuth halfway down the line in the season for redraft, right? So just because Dalton Kincaid is getting the ball thrown to him by Josh Allen does not mean that he is worth a 7th round or 8th round pick in redraft this year. Dawson Knox is still there. No matter what people think about Dawson Knox, they still have a little bit of a rapport, and he is a guy that's there. He's just another tight end that's there. Granted, they'll probably shift things around with Kincaid there, but I just don't see him producing like everyone's hyped him up to be.
I could be wrong, but Knox, they like Knox enough that they gave him 50+ mil on an extension. So, you know, to dismiss that out of hand, I think would be a little foolish. So I agree with you there. Dalton Kincaid, maybe someone that we put in the box because he's jumped all the way to kind of the consensus rookie 107. You know, he's really jumped, especially in tight end premium leagues. Yeah, look, we're in June, and if you're listening, the biggest thing that I could preach to you right now is please, 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 please do not buy tight ends in June. Literally wait until we get through training camp, see who broke their leg because the running back slipped, fell, and went into the back of their leg during a running drill. Let's wait. Let's get through all of that. See who's getting the attention. And for me, what I do with tight ends is I hone in on coaching staffs. I more buy coaching staffs tight ends versus buying a singular tight end talent. Like, there's only one Travis Kelce. There's only one Mark Andrews. There's only one Kyle Pitts. Okay, so where's Doug Peterson? Doug Peterson has Evan Ingram. Doug Peterson, no matter what, throughout his entire tenure of being in the NFL, puts a premium on the tight end position. Okay, I'm going to consider Evan Ingram. Sean Payton, another guy, loves throwing to tight ends. Greg Dulcich, cool. I'd rather spend a 12th round pick, 13th round pick on these guys versus spending 5th round draft capital hoping Darren Waller stays healthy throughout the year. I know that's your guy, and I totally understand the when Darren Waller's healthy, he's a top 5 tight end in the game, but his health is not something I'm willing to bet on.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And just to let everyone know, fun fact to know and tell, Mark Andrews, speaking of, in his rookie year, had 34 catches for 552 yards and 3 touchdowns in 16 games.
Hey, you take it easy. He got diabetes and was trying to figure it out.
No, he didn't.
That's what happened. They could only play him 30% of the snaps because he found out he had diabetes.
He should have taken some Ozempic and been all right with it.
Oh, he's got it under control now.
Obviously.
Jay Cutler found out during his playing career he has diabetes.
And the Jay Cutler excuses keep coming back.
Gotta love that guy. Goes into a divorce proceeding, loses. They say he's got to pay his wife like $20-something million, and he's just like, I'm broke. I don't have any money. Walks out.
Another great tight end, Heath Miller, had 39 catches for 459 yards and 6 touchdowns in 16 games. I am kind of curious. And look at that. One of the other greats. Antonio Gates had 24 catches for 389 yards and scored 2 touchdowns in 15 games in his rookie season. So you see a trend here? You see a fucking trend here? Yeah.
The guy that guy has the most receiving touchdowns by a tight end in history. So,
and he had 3 in his first year.
They also probably thought he was a fullback based on his size. So
yeah, that's true.
Really,
so I just got one question for you. What's in the fucking box? I would play it if I had a shorter clip, but I'll have a shorter clip next week.
I watched 7 for the first time last year, and I managed to dodge all the spoilers. Fucking love that movie.
Nice. I don't think I've ever seen it fully through, but pretty much now I have.
You don't need to watch anything else. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here except for Kevin Spacey.
Whoa, canceled.
He is, yes.
It took us only to the 41-minute mark this time to get canceled. We said his name.
Oh, don't invoke.
And
welcome to the stage, Spacey Kevin.
Oh.
She's performing for her 2 kids, trying to put them through college. Give it up for Spacey Kevin.
Yeah. I love how that guy tried to get around the sexual assault claims by coming out. It's like we already knew that, and this is not the time.
He just turns to his friends and he's like, hold my beer, watch this.
Yeah.
I call it the coming out cop out.
Oh my God. He was like, I was really good on House of Cards. They'll forgive me.
Bold strategy.
Yeah, bold strategy. It just didn't work. It didn't work. Like the whole LGBTQIA plus community was like, yeah, we don't claim him. He has Oscars. We don't give a shit. Like, just no.
Y'all can have him.
LA Valley's finest, though. He went to LA Valley.
I didn't know that, but
they don't even claim. He used to be on the billboard when you went into LA Valley College, Kevin Spacey alum, not there anymore. No sight of him.
It's okay. From what I hear from the white delegates, they don't claim him either.
Yeah, I guess not.
He's just in sexual racial purgatory.
Yeah, he gone. He's really become Kaiser Soze.
That's just 2 words put together that I have no clue what that is.
You don't know The Usual Suspects?
Yeah, I know The Usual Suspects. I've seen it, but I don't know. I'm not like you, man.
Oh,
I don't remember stuff like that, man. I'm just a dude, man.
Just a dude, man. All right, next subject.
I have no clue, man. I'm just kind of riffing here because I ain't got shit. What you got?
We got trade reviews.
Oh, right. Eat shit and die, baby. Eat shit and die. Eat shit and
You want to do eat shit and die first, or you want to do trade reviews?
I guess we can do trade reviews first.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, we'll start off with an easy one. Yours. Why'd you do it? Who'd you do it for? And where'd you do it?
It's full PPR super flex. I think it's start 12. I think it's start 12. It doesn't really matter how many start here.
And what side are you?
I sent out Cam Akers and Cedric Tillman for Antonio Gibson and Quentin Johnston. I think Schlag's in this league, so AJ will probably remember it. Basically, what happened is in our rookie draft, we did it before the actual NFL draft, and there was a lot of steam on Cedric Tillman, and I think I took him at the 306 or something. I don't know. It's somewhere in the 3rd round I took him, and it sent this one guy into an absolute just mental breakdown. He just mentally broke down.
He forgot that he was in the league.
I don't know what it was, but he really wanted Cedric Tillman, and he's like demanding that I trade him to him. And if anyone who knows me, that's the exact way to get me to, trade you somebody.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, you could have taken him. You could have taken him at any point, and he was trying to trade me like Drew Lock for the pick. And he was like, "You didn't even counter." Blah blah blah. I was like, What is there to counter? You're trading me a backup quarterback for a pick where like I can take a lottery on someone like Cedric Tillman going to the Browns.
And plus, you already showed your hand, man. You really like him, obviously.
Yeah. It was great logic on his part. Anyway, so like I kind of like clown him a little bit, and then like I go away, and then like I let a week go by. And start to see like the Elijah Moore rumblings start to happen. So as soon as that happened, I like kind of re-engaged the trade. He initially wanted Ramondre and Abanikanda and Tillman for I forgot who it was in Quentin Johnson. It wasn't Gibson. I think it was Charbonnet. I think it was Zach Charbonnet. And I really was not interested in Charbonnet. And then I think we got landing spots in. The draft happens. We get landing spots. I definitely don't want Charbonnet now. He really wants Tillman because he thinks that he's better than Elijah Moore. And so then he finally just comes to, he offered me it. He offered me Akers and Tillman. He gives me Gibson and Johnson. I was like, absolutely. I hate Quentin Johnston, but if I could turn Cam Akers into a wide receiver with first round draft capital and I get a wide receiver, I turn a guy who is literally probably fourth on the Cleveland Browns wide receiver depth chart into Antonio Gibson. Thank you very much. You can have the guy that you had an absolute meltdown over.
Yeah. A little insight. Guy was going to send me QJ for even less too, and JT whispered in the consigliere's ear about the trade, and I let him.
Yeah, that might have happened. I was just like,
Got a good emoji face.
Yeah, you got it. It shockingly looks similar. Good lighting. Good lighting there, pal.
They don't call me Emojicon for nothing. What's
Shot
up,
caller
Flo?
alert.
Shot caller alert. You missed the box. Gotta come back next week for what's in the fucking box.
What's in the box, man?
All right, so I obviously I think you won that trade.
I know I won that trade.
Yeah,
and I hate Quentin Johnson.
I do too, and Flojo does too. So you want to
wait, Flojo, you taking straight up Cam Akers or Quentin Johnston? I need to know that. If he says Cam Akers, I might walk off the stream.
He's gonna say Cam Akers probably. You know he will.
No way. And I like Cam Akers. I think Cam Akers is great, but Quentin Johnston's going 5th round of Dynasty startups. Get out of here.
Told you.
No way.
Breaking news. Andrew Whitworth is coming out of retirement. Cam Akers is just fine. Moving on.
If I'm in any leagues with Flojo, I hope to be able to trade him Cam Akers.
Well, we may have to talk about Vegas.
Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to take Cam Akers to try to trade him to Flojo.
So a 24.
Let's get to this. We're talking about a Niner.
24 first for Ayuk and Claypool. What side was the person that called this in about?
So I think he bought Ayuk and Claypool.
Okay.
And this really, I don't have the roster, so it's hard to kind of like, I don't know where that first is. I don't know who's a contender, who's not, but let's just for like assumption's sake, let's say this first rounder is somewhere between the 106 and the 110. I think that's a fair estimation here. I think Ayuk's kind of being slept on a little bit. The quarterback kind of controversy there is probably kind of clouding both wide receivers there. I mean, Deebo Samuel's 1 year removed for being wide receiver 2 or 3. I forgot which one. Ayuk showed a lot of good stuff after finally getting out of Shanahan's doghouse. I've been kind of lower throughout his kind of like NFL career. I've been lower on Ayuk than most. Blooms, shout out to Blooms. That's Blooms' guy. He's a big Ayuk guy. I think this is pretty even, as you can tell. I think this is pretty even. I think Ayuk probably maintains value. I have him inside, but he's probably a top 20 receiver for this season.
You know where he finished last year?
I think 15.
Yeah,
15. So I think that's probably a fair standing for him moving forward. But this is really roster based. What's the process here? I'm not even going to talk about Claypool. I've hated Claypool for so long. I don't think he's what I fear Christian Watson's going to become, where he put up 9 touchdowns in his rookie season, but there's really nothing else there, and they feel kind of fluky.
Flojo's saying he'd take the first.
It's fair. It's fair.
And that Clay going to get cut.
It certainly seems closer to that than him producing anything fantasy wise this season.
Yeah. Or ever since he had 4 touchdowns and the previous podcast was started. You know, that's when Travis Fulgham and Chase Claypool, they had that big week. That's when what formerly the Fantasy Shot Callers was formerly called something else, but that was my first one when they had that week 5, I think, of 2020, I think.
Travis Fulgham, what a name.
Yeah. So we have one trade in the comments. Mac Jones and 24 third for A-Rod went down in my leagues.
Wow, that's interesting.
And I high to say that I'm not too mad at it.
I'm kind of surprised. Someone could argue that the third should be attached to the A-Rod side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really bullish on Rodgers. I don't think that he's going to retire after this season. I think he's going to play. I'm going to go on the bullish side. I'm going to say he's going to play another 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I mean, if he plays more than this year, then I think A-Rod side wins. But I like Mac Jones. We talked about it last pod.
Yeah.
I think he's really experienced the biggest jump in coaching from year to year. And I don't think that can be understated. You're going from Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. Both guys neither have any experience as a fucking offensive coordinator. To Bill O'Brien, who has had success at every stop that he's had.
Every single one.
Every single one. As a coach, not as a GM. We're not talking about him as a GM. We're talking about him as a coach. He has been stellar at every spot. So,
and this is what I've been dealing with on a daily basis, talking to Flojo about Mac Jones and him just shitting.
Well, I'm not saying the guy's going to be a QB1. I just think
I'm not either. But he's like mac and cheese, Kraft mac and cheese, Kraft.
He's probably a Bailey Zappi guy.
I feel like you've said that before about like someone else commenting on here years like last year. That's funny. Consistent. See, we're consistent people. Flojo wants to hear you shit on him.
He doesn't want any Niners. He doesn't want any Niners except CMC.
Yeah, I mean that's not really the shitting on part. Sent
right.
JSN Ridley for Diggs and Hollywood Brown. Ben knows my roster. And Kelsey is my tight end. 2-year window, so made the move for production now.
Wow. Oof. So I don't really mind JSN and for Diggs. And I'm someone who likes JSN a lot. But like you mentioned, you're going for it. You have Kelsey as your tight end. I think Diggs is going to, be a top 10 receiver for at least the next 2 years. I'm fine with that. That makes sense to me, especially in like startups. Diggs goes ahead of JSN fairly consistently.
Flojo's saying don't give him the biz.
It's the Ridley and Hollywood part that kind of yeesh for me. I'm really big on Ridley. He's attached to Trevor Lawrence. Hollywood Brown is attached to Clayton Tune right now. I don't know who the fuck that is, but I think he was Houston's quarterback. I don't know. It makes sense. It looks like a standard 1-4 for a 2 and 3. I don't hate it. I just think it hurts to send Ridley for Hollywood at the moment, but I don't think that's something I'd shit on you for. That makes sense to me. I think Diggs is generally slept on, and if we substituted a rookie pick for it, would I send the 106 in a rookie draft for Stephon Diggs? 100%. I would send that over and over again. So I think that's a good trade. You got to know your roster. That works for me.
And then let's go to I don't know if that's in the same. I don't think that's in the same league. But
Schlag,
Devontae and
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon for DK and James Cook.
I hope you got the Devontae side, because I'm not a James Cook guy, and I don't feel good about that. I feel like that could blow up in my face. I think James Cook has one of the more wild array of outcomes. It's just really tough to like predict what's going to happen with him, because when you look at his Georgia tape, he looks good. Like he has those shock plays that he goes to the house, but it's also he's never had that workload, and I don't think he's ever going to have that workload. He's not as big as his brother. He's 5'10". I think he's 5'10", 5'9", 190. I just not a big James Cook guy. In that kind of trade, I would rather have Devontae Smith, and it wouldn't surprise me if AJ Dillon outscored James Cook this season. So I think I would go Devontae there, the Devontae side. He's the best player to me by far.
Yeah, and I mean that committee is just like another mess. It's like,
well, they have Damian Harris, they have Lat Murray, they have Nyheim Hines, and Josh Allen is still a fucking primetime goal line back. So really tough for me to see there. I think there was an extension to the Flojo trade there.
I don't know. Like what I'm saying is I don't know if this was in the same league or not.
That's fine. I like Deontay better than Hollywood. So if that's an extension, then I like that trade much better.
Okay. And if it's not,
I still like the trade. I mean, I like Deontay better than Hollywood for this year. Hubbard is kind of negligible. It's a good handcuff to have because I don't trust Miles Sanders to stay healthy. He said it is the same league. So yeah, no. That trade makes more sense to me. I like that one better. I like Deontay a lot just because the Pickens hype has pushed him down to a level where it's like this guy was wide receiver 8 last season. I think he's pretty good at separation.
Talk about Kirk and Evan Ingram. Is Ridley going too high? I was a truther early, but starting to hesitate.
No, I think Ridley's. I think this is probably, if you wait, he's only gonna keep going up. I think come redraft season, like when we're in like deep August, he's gonna be a third round. He might even be a second round pick by the time we get to August, man. And I know people are gonna like freak out when I say that, but I'm telling you, it's not gonna take much to be. He's attached to Trevor Lawrence. He's in a Doug Peterson offense. Good weather come championship week seasons, weak division. It's really not hard to see it. Ridley is going to start. He's only going up. The price is only going to keep getting higher.
Akers and JMO for 24-1.
Oh God. Let me look at it. Ugh. There's another trade in there that was worse. No, it's not even JMO. It's Jamal Williams. Ugh. It would be better if it was JMO. So the trade is someone sent their first round pick. They do not have a good roster. Their roster is bad. Like I would say
I understand. Just keep going.
you don't understand how bad it is, but they sent their first round pick for Jamal Williams and Cam Akers.
So Caleb Williams for Cam Akers and Jamal Williams.
I don't think it's a Caleb Williams roster. They have Mahomes rostered, but Zeke is still in their starting lineup.
Sick. They kill it.
So I really think that it's going to be that's probably going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. or Brock Bowers for two very disposable running backs. Yeah, it's not Jameson Williams. Not Jameson Williams. It's worse. It's Jamal Williams.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to another trade that was sent in. Sky Moore, a 212 and a 24 mid-second for Ayuk and a 24 third.
I think this is a runaway Ayuk side. The only Sky Moore truther whose opinion that I respect is Average Joe's. Everyone else, I'm not interested in hearing why you think Sky Moore is going to pop off. I really think Sky Moore sucks. And the reason being is when Kansas City literally had no wide receivers, they couldn't put him on the field.
Yeah, because he was injured.
You say injured. I say there's drugs that could have got him on the field.
Sure.
So I'm not a Sky Moore guy. I didn't like his profile coming in. If you're telling me I can get a Brandon Ayuk type, 10 out of 10, I'm taking him. If you're telling me I could get a Terry McLaurin type, insert whatever wide receiver in that tier you want to put in for Ayuk, I'm taking that side, 10 out of 10.
Cool. So that wraps it up.
Where do you have that?
Huh?
Where do you have that trade?
So that wraps it up for let's see. I mean, who was going at the 212? I mean,
Marvin Mims?
No, he went earlier than that, I think. No,
really?
Maybe around that.
No, Mims is going around there. It's like Mims, Luke Musgrave, Hendon Hooker.
No, Hendon Hooker was third round.
Josh Downs.
Yeah, if that mid could come to like a 201, then I'd say the Sky Moore side. But I really like Ayuk this year.
Really? Even even if it was the 201, I'd be like, nope, no thanks. Give me Ayuk.
Flo just said, "Did you say drugs? DRUGS! Exclamation mark.
That Toradol, baby."
All right, so this next segment is a segment where we get bad trades that you have experienced or we have experienced, and we talk shit about them. And that brings us to Eat Shit and Die. We like talking about poop, and especially the trades that are poopy. So welcome. And the first one is another guy that people thought was going to be good because Josh Allen was throwing him the ball. And that would be a 23 second for Gabe Davis and a 23 fourth.
Yeah. This trade was sent to me, and I think that was the 202, by the way. I don't remember. I think that was the 202, and they tried to send me for Gabe Davis and a 23-4. There's no reason for me to think that Gabe Davis is going to have a significant enough role for me to not. I'm just going to pick the guy at the 202 and keep it pushing. You know, whether it's Michael Mayer, whether it's
Jonathan
Mingo, guys that have more cachet and have more room to fail than Gabe Davis. Because sometimes Charbonnet. If Gabe, Kendre Miller, all of those guys, if they don't pop year one, there's still optimism going into year two. If Gabe Davis doesn't pop this year, well, he starts to become like a 20th round startup pick.
Yeah.
which may not be fair, but this is more of a perception play. Yeah, Gabe Davis just I don't see it, man. Outside of maybe Stephon Diggs like going full Antonio Brown, I don't see how he's going to be fantasy relevant this year.
Yeah. Flojo said so funny people, but then he followed that up with think Gabe is good. So I'm gonna say that so many funny people think Gabe is good.
Interesting. I mean, I think Gabe Davis is going to be a better in real life player than he will be a fantasy player. Like, I'm happy to take a shot on him in a best ball format, but in a league where I have to set the lineup, that's just not a bet I'm willing to make.
Brandon says Diggs needs a dog on the field across from him. It's sad.
Could be Kincaid.
Well, here we go. Ben thinks Kincaid is a dog. Yeah, not in his rookie year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the perfect draft I had in that startup was I drafted Travis Kelce and I drafted Kincaid as well. And my man's going to ride the taxi until the wheels start turning.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kelsey's fine, man. He's someone that I'm not fading. I love Kelsey. I think he's going to be fine.
Speaking of loving things, if you've loved us so far, I know it may be a little hard. Hit that like, smash that subscribe. We are here every Wednesday throughout the season. And, we get to it so y'all can be ready for your drafts, for waiver wires, all that kind of shit. And I think we're kind of funny sometimes, maybe.
This isn't even the best eat shit and die. I have a better one.
You have a better one that you didn't send me?
No. I sent it to you.
You did?
Yeah. It's the Waddle one.
Oh, that is a good one.
That is disgusting. That is, I will block you and don't ever send me anything ever again.
Where is it? Oh, there. This one?
Yeah. I think even Flojo's gonna agree with me on this one. This is I will never speak to you ever again as long as we're in a league together level kind of stuff. For the record, he wanted me to send Cam Akers and Jalen Waddle for Mike Evans, a first and a second. And that first and a second, granted, it's out of a startup, but it's definitely projectable to be in the back half of the round. So just not doing it.
I ain't got much to say, but what I got to say is what I'm going to say.
I feel like I was fairly polite in the response because he asked for a counter. And I was just like, I wouldn't do Waddle alone for those 3 picks. It's basically a late one and a late second plus Evans for Waddle and Akers. And I don't see how that benefits me at all. I think Waddle is one of those set and forget wide receivers. And I expect to get at minimum 5 more productive years out of him. Whatever. You got a boner? You got a boner? You heard Waddle too many times?
Waddle. A 23 second and a 23 third for Chris Godwin. What side were you?
I have Chris. I'm holding Chris Godwin.
Okay.
And still, I'm hoping that they get a better QB. I'm holding Godwin, and I'm not worried about it until next year. Mm-hmm. I mean, the chances that anyone in this draft is going to produce more than Chris Godwin is slim to none. He may end up being a wide receiver 3 this season, but I still believe in the talent. He's got a good contract, and I also think he's potentially a trade candidate halfway through the year if he gets attached to a better quarterback. Wheels up there. So Godwin's not someone I'm looking to sell for a 2 and a 3. I'd rather him die on my roster than do that.
If Evans was T. Higgins, would you do it?
Yes, so I could trade T. Higgins and get more first rounders. Yes.
Yeah.
I hate T.
Higgins was on time, he'd know that we talked about T. Higgins.
Yeah, I hate T. Higgins, but I would definitely make that trade for T. Higgins.
Let's see. Let's get to another one here. This is a good one.
No, where did that come in?
Instagram from Ground Zero.
I'm assuming you're sending Amon Ra. Our side sending Amon Ra for
Yeah.
Ayuk and a third.
Yeah.
Look, we have one of the biggest Ayuk truthers in blooms here, and I think he would throw his phone at the person that would send that to him. That's basically saying Ayuk is Amon Ra St. Brown, and he is not.
He is not.
Unequivocal.
Speaking of, I was sent Chubb and Lenny for Gibbs.
Ooh. From an age standpoint, that's kind of gross.
Maybe
but
2 years ago.
I don't know, man. I bleeping hate. I just don't like the Lions running back curse, and I'm very scared for Gibbs.
For some reason, AJ can't see the trades on screen now. For some reason,
I heard if you watch the show shirtless, you could see them.
Yes, and Flojo agrees. That is bad. So let's get to another one. Here we have a really good one. It's great. It's so good. I would have done this.
Who attaches Leonard Fournette to a trade? Who the fuck does that?
Some guy.
This fucking guy. Oh yeah. Well, this was at the height of the suspension talk. He was trying to offload Kamara and take my Rashad White. I don't even really like Rashad White, but he's 6 years younger than Kamara and has shown that he can catch the ball. Yeah, no thanks. I also hate that team. I'm trying to offload for picks there, and he's like, "Hey, you want Alvin Kamara?" Like, I'm trying to rebuild, asshole. No.
Well, it's way better now that AJ took his shirt off.
Told you. If you rub your nipples, you might even get inside our brains.
Does that mean I can get inside your brain? Talk about Gibbs' third round ADP. You like?
No.
Me neither.
In any format.
Let's get to another one. Just got a couple minutes left. Try to wrap up here real quick. Here, I think these two are the worst ones, to be honest. I'm gonna give yours because yours I don't think is worse than the last one. So This one, Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry, and Taysom Hill as a throw-in, just to really sweeten the pot for T-Law.
The man without a position. You remember when Sean Payton thought Taysom Hill could be a quarterback?
He was a starting quarterback for a little while.
For like a game, and they were like,
more than a game.
He can't fucking throw.
Imagine just him and like Chris Trevler just hanging out.
Hey, I liked Trevler. He should have started. I was okay. It was fun. It was terrible. It was terrible, but it was way more entertaining. It was way more entertaining. It was way more entertaining.
If he started that game, the Jets would have won.
I think that's not crazy to say. I wanted to see him start the Miami game.
Me too.
Yeah, no. That Lawrence one is terrible, and I don't think I've talked to that person since.
Brandon was also sent Goddard, Purdy, a 2023 third for my Kyle Pitts.
I understand why someone would say that, would send it, but yeah, that's you can't give up Pitts for that. You make that trade? You make that trade, you psychopathic motherfucker.
I mean, if you turn that 2023 to like a first or a second, yeah, I'd make that trade.
Yeah, no shit. If it was a first, you make that trade,
but I'd probably make it if it was a second.
Wow, I don't think I could do that. Why is Flojo saying I like Kirk
Cousins? You do. Literally almost
don't.
Every Dynasty team I see, you have him on.
I don't love him. I just buy him for nothing.
Buy him for nothing. Okay.
I was the Trevor Lawrence side here, Flojo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the Kirk.
And we don't take sides here, so so it's okay to smash that like and smash that subscribe. It goes a lot further than you think. It helps us help you win money. And we like winning you money because it helps us win money. So the last
I do like Kirk Cousins when I could get him for like the 206. That's great.
Yeah. The last one we have on Eat Shit and Die, and then we'll wrap this up. Dak, DJ Moore, and Paris Campbell for Garrett Wilson and Deshaun Watson.
Oh.
Eat shit and die. Eat shit and die. Eat shit and die.
Well,
die.
Let's break it down a little bit here.
All right. So you got Dak for Deshaun.
That's defensible.
For now. And then you got DJ Moore and Paris Campbell for Garrett Wilson. Mind you, Paris Campbell is all the hype in Giants camp right now. He could be the guy. He could really be the guy.
He's playing running back. He's playing running back. He's running back. He's running back. He's playing running back right now. That's what they think of him. They're just trying to see how they could break him so they don't have to pay him. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing right now. They're like, hey, Paris Campbell's not hurt yet. His hamstring is looking pretty good. All right, put him at fucking running back. Let's break this motherfucker. So we don't have to pay him $3 million. Yeah, it's the DJ Moore and Campbell for Garrett Wilson part that's just very indefensible here. And on top of it, I haven't seen a startup where Dak goes ahead of Watson. So even that part is it's really tough. I mean, if you're sending a 3 for 2, the third piece has to be at minimum a starter to get this off the ground. So, like, instead of Paris Campbell, if it's Terry McLaurin, if it's Brandon Ayuk, I know we've kind of mentioned them, but that kind of puts us into a conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm gaining a starter in a lineup. You know what I mean? That's a little more defensible. I would say it probably would need to be like a T. Higgins to kind of cross the threshold here, maybe a Devontae Smith. It's just the Paris Campbell slot that turns this into an absolute shit burger of a trade.
Shit burger.
Burger. That's fucking rough, man.
Yeah. And you know what's not rough? If you smash that like, smash that subscribe. Come join us next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're here because we want to help you win your leagues and, talk some shit because it's healthy.
Yeah.
Let it out. Let it out.
Yes. Don't ever defend Kirk Cousins or you'll never hear the end of it.
And FloJo's response, I know, but anytime I can bash, I take a shot. Ask Ben. And he's right.
We're here to take him.
And real life. Anyways, that does it for another episode of Fantasy Shot Callers Live. Smash that subscribe. Smash that like. Y'all know what it is. What is it, JT?
Fantasy is life.
It's a vibe. Peace and love, y'all, and see you next.